This week's parasha, Hashem el Moshe b'Midyan, Lech shuv Mitzrayim, ki meisu kol ha'anoshim ha'mevakshim es nafshecha. Kodesh Baruch Hu seems to be telling Moshe Rabbeinu, I want you to go back to Eretz Yisrael because meisu kol ha'anoshim ha'mevakshim nafshecha, you're not going to be in danger. If Moshe Rabbeinu would be in danger, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't tell him, Shuv Mitzrayim. So the Meir Simcha, who knows? Who was the Meir Simcha? Huh? What else did he write? Or Sameach. Was he a Chosid or a Litvak? You know? Good guess. He was the Rav of Dvinsk and one of the greatest Gedolim of his era. And he writes in two different places. Meshech Chachma, number 1, or Sameach, number 3. This posuk is the source of an interesting psak in Rambam. Source number 2. Hagoylo, Ratzeach Bishgogo, Chayev Golos, and he's an Iyam Miklot. Hagoylo, and he yoytza Iyam Miklot, Eliyolam, afilu le'dvar mitzvah le'edus. בין עדס מום ובין עדס נפושס. ואפילו להצל את הנפש בעדוסוי, או להצל מיד הגייס, מיד הנוע, מיד הדליקם מן המפוילס. אפילו כל יסוד צריכם לוי, כי יויב בן צרויו, אינו יויצא משם ליועלם עד מויסה כהן גודל, והם יוצאו את עצמם למיסה כמו שביארנו. Ask Reb Meir Simcha, if it's pikuach nefesh, why wouldn't he leave the Iyam Miklot? Pikuach nefesh overrides all other mitzvahs. Pikuach nefesh overrides Chilul Shabbos, Tzoim Yom HaKippurim, which are Chayev Kores. So why wouldn't Pikuach nefesh override the mitzvah of the Retzech that needs to live in the Iyam Miklot? So the Meir Simcha says, it does. However, if the Retzech leaves the Iyam Miklot, he's putting his life in jeopardy. He's not mechuyev to put his life in jeopardy, even to save Klal Yisrael. And that is the source of the Rambam. Kodesh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Shuv Mitzrayim, ki meisu kol ha'anoshim ha'mevakshim es nafshecha. If you would be putting your life in danger, I would not ask you to go back to Mitzrayim. It is only because ki meisu kol ha'anoshim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, Shuv Mitzrayim. And that is the source of the Rambam, which actually is like a Gemara in Makkas, Daf Yud Aleph. To me, this is a very strange pshat. And it seems to be saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu patiently waits till everybody is dead. And then he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, now you could go. HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to wait till everybody is dead. Hayad Hashem Tiktzar. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to bring Geulas Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim, he has a problem. Moshe might be in danger. What happened to the bullies when they came to Lot's house? Huku b'sanveirim v'yilu limtzoi posach. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has 1,000 ways to protect Moshe Rabbeinu. He doesn't need to wait till all those that might put him in danger are dead. That can't be pshat in Pasuk. And I also think, Im kol Yisrael tzrichem litshua, so ki yoyev ben tzruyo, then Basin should take the Goyal Adam, lock him up, till the war is over. Now, he's not a bad man, doesn't deserve to be punished, put him in a 5-star hotel. Let him have a good time. But lock him up. He shouldn't be able to put Yoyev ben Tzuya in danger. Him call Yisol Tzrichem loy. So that can't be pshat, neither in the Rambam nor in the Pasuk. So why wouldn't Pikuach Nefesh be matir to leave the Iyam Miklot? Of course Pikuach Nefesh is matir to leave the Iyam Miklot. Pshitali. What happens if the Goyal Adam is over on Mitzvah Torah and the Retzech finds out that somebody is in town came to kill me. The Goyal Adam is in the Iyah Miklot. Of course, the Retzeich could run out of the Iyah Miklot. I'm supposed to be here to be protected. If my life is in danger here, then I'm entitled to run away from here and go out of the Iyah Miklot. Pikuach Nefesh is doicha. So obviously, this is not a Pikuach Nefesh situation. Tzorchei Rabim. It's a mistake to think that a certain general, he is the only one that could be the Ramatkal, or the Chief of Staff, or the Sara B'tachon. No individual was ever born that doesn't have a substitute. We're all human. We're all here for a very limited period of time. No one is the only one that can do anything. That's not Pikuach Nefesh. Kol Yisrael Tzichem. Tzorchei Rabim. Tzorchei Klal Yisrael. Not beyond that. La'atzel men hagayis men hamapoilis. There are going to be many other people out there trying to be helpful. You're not the only one. So anybody that comes to be matzel men hagayis men hamapoilis men hasreifa mutar lo ilachal Shabbos. However, in this case, there is only one that's in the Miklot. All the others are free to do whatever they can to be safe, to be helpful, and therefore, this is not a Pikuach Nefesh situation. And that is why, Eini Yotzei Miklot. If there would be a Sreifa, and no one else is out there, only he, of course he would leave the Miklot, because Pikuach Nefesh is Doicha, Miklot, and not because he's putting his life in jeopardy. Legufon shel devorim, source number 5. And this is the very last Beis Yosef in Daled Chelkei Shulchan Aruch. Kosav agos memoinios. Biyushalmi masik, afil elachn zatzma besofik sakona chayev. ונרשתה מפני שלום ודאי והוא סופק. כל המקיים נפשס כאילו קיים עולם מולא. The Beis Yosef, neither the Gosmenios, don't tell us which Yerushalmi are they talking about. But there's only one Yerushalmi that probably is the source, that a person needs to put himself in Sofek Sakona כדי להציל חברוי. Masechet Trumis Perek Ches, Daf Mem Zayin Omid Beis in Yerushalmi Vilna. Yerushalmi tells a story of Amy was abducted into a forest. We don't know many details. Were they just thugs? Maybe cannibals? Why did they take him captive? But Rabbi Yonason, when he heard that Rav Amy was abducted in the forest, said, we need to prepare tachrichim, which means there's no chance that we'll ever see him again. Tragedy. We lost a good friend, a big Talmud Chochem. And then Reish Lakish says, no, I'm not Messiahish so fast. I am going into the forest. I might get killed. I might kill, but I'm going to try to bring him home. As you probably know from Bava Metzia Pehei, Reish Lakish was somewhat about tshuva, and he was a fighter. I don't know exactly what, but he was a martial arts expert probably. Don't know which discipline, but he was a fighter. And he goes into the forest. And he succeeds in bringing Rav Amy home safely, without firing a shot, without being violent. Probably he was so imposing that he brought him home. Gos Maimonides wants to prove from this story that a person needs to put himself in sakana to save another person who is in a greater sakana. We assume that Reish Lakish was in a smaller sakana than Rav Amy. And the results prove that. He brought him home without a fight. But nevertheless, Reish Lakish puts his life in danger. There probably was a big group out there in the forest, and probably they also weren't Muslimanim. You know, they were thugs. They were criminals. So this is a source of Agos Mamoniyos. So we find this in the B'S Yosef, but it's not in the Shulchan Aruch. How do we deal with a situation in which Halacha is brought in B'S Yosef? V'leis man depalik. The B'S Yosef doesn't bring anybody that has a different opinion. So why isn't it in the Shulchan Aruch? Writes the Smasiv Cotton Beis. This proves Shabbos Yosef Chosaboy. And he decided this is not the halacha. And one could argue, how could we prove from the shlukash that that is a chiyuv? Maybe it's lifnei mishus adin. The shlukash volunteered. Nobody turned to the shlukash and said, you're mechuyev to do it. So maybe it's a reshus, but it might not be a chiyuv. Some gedolim, like the Netziv, really right. It's a reshus. A person is allowed to put himself in a certain sakona to save another from a greater sakona, but it's not a chiyuv. And maybe that is why the B'S Yosef doesn't bring this halacha, because he really decided that it's not a chiyuv at all. We can't prove to the Yerushalmi it's a chiyuv. So this question sometimes becomes relevant in security establishment, especially in times of war, when soldiers are required to put their life in danger to save others. And we lost a few soldiers in this war trying to save hostages, and those operations were not successful. And this is a question that sometimes comes up also in medicine. So about 50 or 60 years ago, Rebbe Yehuda Waldenberg, the Tzitz Eliezer, wrote a tshuva in which he wrote that it's a Issa Gomer to donate a kidney to save another person. That might have been a correct psak 50 or 60 years ago. Then, the danger on the donor was very significant. He put his life at risk. And the likelihood that he's saving another person was somewhat questionable, because the recipient of the kidney not always was successful. This medical procedure changed dramatically and drastically since then. And today, the danger on the donor is mamish insignificant, totally insignificant, and the chance to save a person is almost certain. And therefore, I encourage this. One of my Talmidim, a real Ben Torah, learning in Koilel 3's Dorim a day, this week donated a kidney to save a person, not a family member, not a person that he knew. Actually, it was last week. He called me this week to say he's doing fine, he recuperated very fast. So today, definitely is recommended. So let me make a general comment. The Haredi society was for many years attacked that we don't care for the ill and we're not compassionate because we don't donate hearts or lungs, and we don't sign this document that if I'm killed, I want to give away my organs. Because vital organs cannot be removed after cardiac arrest. So the only way to take out a person's lung or heart or liver to save another person is as long as his heart is still beating. And we need to rely on brain stem death, which in halacha is questionable. Today, the number of live kidney donors in the Haredi community, and not exclusively Haredi community, the same in the modern Orthodox community, is the highest in the entire world. And no group in the world comes close to the frum Jewish people, not even 100 miles close, in the number of live kidney donors, and I tell the world, Im kol hakavod, it's much easier to give your heart after you're dead than giving your kidney while you're alive. So nobody needs to teach us about caring and compassion. I personally know more than 200 people, kidney donors, some of them choshev rabbonim. The only thing I tell these people when they come to be shayal eitzu with me, I tell them, since you signed the ksuba, your kidney belongs to your wife as well. It's not only your kidney, and it is only if your wife is 100% on the same page as you are that you could give away your kidney, which also belongs to her. I know a few couples in which husband and wife both donated kidneys. And I say, don't do it at the same time because you're not going to have a babysitter for your kids. So do it in turns. So at the time, and Rav Vanderberg said, no, al pi halacha, one should not put his life in danger to save another. But my psak, which is written in Shalosh Tshuvas Minchas Osher, Chelik Aleph, and once again a Chelik Beis, based on Tshuvas Arad Baz, it all depends on numbers. How high is the sakona on the matzil, and how great is the sakona on the one that we are trying to save. And if the sakona, the risk on the life of the donor, or any other situation, the matzil is extremely low, and the danger on the person that we are trying to save is extremely high, that Radbaz writes, it's a midas chasidus, maybe even a chiyuv. So I say, there's no chiyuv to donate a kidney, not at all. And we should never put pressure on a person to do so. But the ones that decide out of their own choice to do so, no greater mitzvah, no greater chesed. So I tell all those people, let me know the day before the operation. I'll daven for you and b'siyata nishmaya. All the ones I know are doing great, are doing fine. So this is a general question. However, in times of war, everything is different. And war overrides pikuach nefesh. Because in Torah Samalchoma there are two different concepts, Melchemes Mitzvah, Melchemes Ereshus. Melchemes Ereshus, Malchi Yisrael have authority to wage war even though there are people that are not in danger. So what's the head of Melchemes Ereshus when in every war people are killed? War overrides pikuach nefesh. Why is that? Let's have a look at the Chassam Sofer, source number 4. Hu de pshita l'shmuel dina de malchus adina nereli shorshoi banui al hu de shmuel shvuas lamedei ha'elef lochos shloima u'masayim lenoitrem espirioi. So the Gemara says 1,000 on one hand and 200 in the service of the king. And the Gemara says that a king that sacrifices the lives of 1/6 of his populace, that's forgivable. Those numbers today would be totally unacceptable. That would be like a country in Israel, 1.3 million people. In America, would be the American president sacrificing the life of approximately 60 million Americans. Some Sofer writes, this is the source Dina de Malchus Adina. So according to some Sofer, war overrides Pekuach Nefesh because of Dina de Malchus. At a Minchas Osha, I said that some Sofer is a Taima. All the Rishonim deal with Dina de Malchus Adina. There are two different approaches. Nobody connects it with the Gemara Shavuos. Totally different concept. So this is a basic question. Is a Jew entitled to enlist in a foreign army in times of war and put his life in danger? One of the tremendous tragedies of World War I Historians say that about 1 million Jews participated in World War I. Probably nobody here knows anything about World War I, but it's a Torah-dika discussion. On one hand, there was Germany and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Austria, Hungary, Germany, against Russia, France, Britain, and America. And it is estimated that about 500,000 Jews fought on either side. All these countries were anti-Semitic. And tens of thousands of Jews killed each other for anti-Semites, for Sonny Yisrael on the German side, on the Russian side, and the French and the Austrians all hated Jews. And Jews killed each other. The Chofetz Chaim in Machne Yisrael has a special tefillah for soldiers to daven that they should never be nichshel in killing another Jew. But it happened all the time. So according to the Chassam Sofer, a Jew is entitled to put his life in danger to fight for a foreign army because dina de melchos adina. Ein advora misyashva malalev. Le'um hazois, hundreds of thousands of Jews fought the Nazis in World War II, and I think that was a great mitzvah. That definitely was mutar in the Russian army, and the American and the British that fought the Nazis, that definitely was mutar, because we were fighting at that period to save the Jewish people. The Nazis that were geyser, lahashmed, lahareg, or laabed es kol Yehudim, that definitely was a mitzvah. And in the graveyards of the American military in Europe, there are thousands of Jews buried with a Magen David over each caver. So the Minchas Chinuch, Tav Kuf Chuf Dalet, and the Brisker Rav, Parshas B'Shalach, and the Haftorah, they have a different explanation. Not because Dina de Malchus Adina, but rather that's the din of Melchemes Yisrael. Melchama overrides Pikuach Nefesh. So it is only if you fight for Jews, not if you're fighting for Goyim. So this war is definitely a Melchemes Mitzvah because the Rambam defines Melchemes Mitzvah, Perek Hey, Melches Malachim, Halacha Aleph, that when we're fighting, Lahoshia Yisrael Miyad Tzar Shekam Olav, that is a Melchemes Mitzvah. And therefore, all those young Jewish soldiers that are dying every day, and many of them, Talmidei Chachamim, Tzadikim, definitely our Kedoshim, Mekoymam begin Zeh Meroimim, and we all daven and we all learn, L'schusam, Kodesh Baruch Hu should bring them all safely home, and there should be no more bloodshed, no more agmas nefesh. V'achenu kol beis Yisrael hanasunim b'tzoro v'b'shivyo amokim yarachem eleim v'yegolam b'tzoro l'ravocha ma'afela la'oira mishubed l'ga'ula hashto ba'golo v'zman korev. So this week we start learning Chumash Shemois. Chumash Shemois, the Ramban defines as Sefer HaGolus v'HaGeula. And the first 6 parshios in Chumash Shemois are Yemei HaShoivovim. Shuvu Bonim Shoivovim is Rosh Teves Shmois Ve'eru Boi B'Shalach Yisrael Mishpotim. And according to the Mekubolim, these are very special days that are Mesugal, Liyeshuos, and we should be Mespal for the Geula Shalema. Misha Omer Lo'olam Oidai, Yom Letzoroseinu Dai, and we should be zoiche bekorev to Geulas Yisrael and to see Pnei Moshiach Tzedkenu b'mheiro v'yomeinu. Amen.